Apple hitting a fresh all-time high today on the back of a Morgan Stanley price target hike. Analyst Katie Huberty raising her price target to $289. That is now the highest on the street. So is Apple's record rally really unstoppable? And Pete, this is your favorite analyst on Apple.
And I think she has been generally right better than anybody else. And I know she's not the highest ranked one. I know there's a ranking system out there, but I've always followed along with her, and she's been right, in my opinion, more than anybody else. And now all of a sudden she raises to be the highest on the street. Pretty aggressive move on her part, but I love what she's looking at right now. And she's talking about what does the TV really mean for Apple, and how is that going to be going forward, and how many people are they been able to get either subscribers or maybe free through other buying. I think that she makes a lot of sense because we all know the ecosystem here. We all know how Apple really works. They get you into that trap. They hold you in there. Everybody's going to be a member. If you've got a phone, I've got a phone. Your whole family's going to have the phone. And that is the growth area. We finally got underneath that. I thought it was a good thing, and now it's turned out to be a good thing. That when the phone went under 50% of the revenue, I think that was a great thing, actually, because then it's about services at 21%. It's about wearables at 10% of the revenue. And now you've got the 48% on the phone. That can continue to stay somewhere in there or maybe even shrink. But I think the services and wearables is the area. That's the margin. That's the growth. And that's what she's talking about this feeding into.
Yeah. And what we heard from Texan yesterday really underscores the sort of the dichotomy between the chip makers that go into the Apple supply chain versus the chip makers that go into sort of the more industrial areas, right?
And the Texan, well, we can talk about Texans, but, to Pete's point, Apple Pay, I think, took over from Starbucks in terms of, Apple Pay payment system. So that's got it going for it as well. And again, we'll mention it. It really comes down to a bit of a math problem. And you say to yourself, they're going to earn $12.75 or thereabouts next year. And I think she's doing the math and saying this blended multiple comes in somewhere around 22 or 23 times those earnings. So that gets you straight to 289.
Yeah, so it seems like a lot of people are underestimating the potential of this Apple TV Plus. And what Katie has basically arrived at is she's assuming that 1 out of 10 Apple iPhone users by 2025 adopts Apple TV Plus, and she's getting to that number by looking at the adoption of the Apple Music service, right? Yep. And if that happens, all of a sudden now you're looking at services growing at 20% year over year rather than low teens, and again, all recurring revenue, whereas the old business model was one-time revenue.
This just shows you the leverage, though, in the multiple. And now we're not even debating services. We're not even talking about, hey, if they could ever monetize the 1.5 billion, installed base. This is a function of people now. And the other thing you have to remember as an investor, though, in Apple, you have these extreme emotional sentiments in one way or the other. We are now getting to a place where the street is very much on board, and we're seeing these massive upgrades. And obviously, you have to start thinking about where have we gone sentiment overload. I don't think we're there yet. I'm long, and I'm very excited about this dynamic on services. But you have to remember when this stock gets overbought and oversold on sentiment, and we're getting to overbought.
What do you think of that, Pete? Because I feel like there is a contest on the street as to who has the highest price target. And last week, I think it was Raymond James. Oh, wow, with the highest price target on the street. And now it's Morgan Stanley with Katie Huberty.
Yeah. And let's go back at it. We had Gene Munster on earlier. He actually has a bull case for Apple at 350. Now, that's not his target, but I'm just telling you, if the bull case, he's got 3 different cases that he lays out. I think the other interesting thing, Mel, in this low rate environment, one of the things that Katie pointed out as well is the dividend, along with the buybacks, is a yield of about 8%. That's only going to get better, I think, because they continue the buybacks, that continues the huge cash flows, and the dividends that they continue to raise that up as well. In this environment, at 8% number, that's pretty impressive.